Welcome back to this episode of the Fish Files. We're going to dig into one particular species, a predator species called Datnoid. And Datnoids, for avid enthusiasts of this particular species, know that there are all kinds of variations: 3 bar, 5 bar, 7 bar, 6 bar, and they are found all through the Indochina region. And depending on the location, the pattern's a little bit different, the size is a little different. Some of them come with a little yellow, a little red. Today we have a mixed hybrid that was caught in the wilds from Indonesia. And as such, when we imported it, it's simply called the Indonesian Tiger Fish, but it's also called the Siamese Tiger Fish. But they do break it down because the price on these guys can go from, in the retail store, from $30 to $500, depending on how rare that particular variation of this species is. And I should say they are subspecies. The family of Datnoids has several different species within it. I'm going to just show you what I've got in the warehouse. Again, it's a hybrid, so I can't really tell you it's this particular species. They all come from the wild. The only one that you can get on a regular basis is the Jaya Datnoid, but that one unfortunately is so expensive. I have to wholesale it for about $150, which means by the time you'll buy it in the store, it's going to be about $400. So the other problem with the Jaya Datnoid is found it difficult to adapt readily to the aquarium unless it's just right, and I'll talk about that in a moment. First, just the water parameters though have to be just right for the Datnoid, or just like discus, it kind of blackens up, and once it adjusts, heals up like a discus, or it dies. So before you bring in a Datnoid, whether it's a $30 or $400 Datnoid to your aquarium, please make sure the water parameters are correct, which again I'll talk about in a minute. First, let me show you what a Datnoid looks like. Speaking of water parameters, you never want to shock these guys, so I'm just transporting them from one aquarium to another in the water that we keep them in, so that the temperature, of course, temperature might have cooled a little bit, a degree or two. Fish can handle a couple degrees, but don't subject tropical fish to 5 degrees or more. That can actually kill them. Just like any other tropical fish, we're not talking about koi, goldfish, cold water fish, who are used to seasonal changes, and the water changes can go from freezing all the way up to 90 degrees. The tropical fish are always around 75 to 80 degrees because where they evolved, the temperature never changes, and the days are always 12 hours, and nights are always 12 hours. And so if you subject a tropical fish to more than 5 degrees, their physiology just doesn't adapt and they die. So just make sure you always float the fish for a while. We don't have to in this case because we're keeping them in the same water and the same temperature all the way through this little display process here. And I'm putting both of these guys in here because, like I said, these are wild caught, and there's a hybrid of a couple different patterns. They've been with me for a couple weeks. These are my last two, so obviously they're not the pick of the litter, but they're still very pretty. And most people like really distinct bands on their Datnoids, and you'll find if you do some research on your own on this family of predator fish, that in general, they all grow to about a foot. They all are aggressive predators, but they're fine with fish that they can't eat. So you can put them with other fish similar size, you'll have no problems. And you can adapt them to frozen foods, but I would always keep some live feeder guppies. If they get older, feeder goldfish, but mix it in with other stuff like ghost shrimp from time to time. If you want to take care of the species at home, just make sure you have a ready supply of some kind of live feeders along with frozen foods. Frozen foods, obviously, you can get at any pet store, but live feeders are sometimes harder to get depending on where you live and what kind of sources you can get them from. That's something you don't want to get mailed to you. I mean, I know aquariumfish.com ships that stuff around, but it's expensive. These guys are the hybrid Datnoids I was mentioning before from Indonesia. You can see all Datnoids have similar body pattern. They have big round eyes that can look almost 360 degrees, and they wait for their prey. Generally, they're in small flowing streams and very wide rivers. They can even handle brackish conditions, so they're in estuaries too. And you can find them in Indonesia, you can find them in Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, that whole Indochina area. The way they eat, though, is they wait generally in low-lying plants for smaller critters to come by, and then they grab them. Into that kind of thing, they're a great pet. Now, I fed these guys some ghost shrimp, so I don't know if they're going to eat anymore, but since we're doing the show right now, so you'll see them eating. So we're going to walk in the warehouse now and feed our Datnoids ghost shrimp and then come back into the studio. We're going to do a little experiment on feeding tiger Datnoids because I want to see if they will eat feeder ghost shrimp. Main reason is because I'm out of feeder guppies until Monday. It's Friday and I want to feed them something. So let's hope it works. I have a big shipment of wild Indonesian Tiger Datnoids that get about this big, amazing, fun predator fish with giant big bug eyes. Right now they're from here to here. Wild caught, they come in all various sizes. And fortunately, I have ghost shrimp that are also various sizes, so I'm hoping some of the smaller ghost shrimp will be eaten by them. So let's grab some ghost shrimp and feed our Datnoids.
So I'm just gonna scoop some random guys up. We get these feeder ghost shrimp from Florida, and they eyeball these into what basically a beta cup full is considered one full bag, and this is supposed to hold just one full beta cup. It holds 800 to 1,000 of these, depending on what time of year.
They're still a little small, so I think they're small enough for these Datnoids, but we're going to find out. I have a lot of ghost shrimp here, but one thing about predator fish, you don't need to feed predator fish every day. Maybe once every 3 days. Feed arowanas, feeder guppies, or feeder goldfish. They don't need to be fed every day, and they don't overeat. They'll eat as much as they can contain, but they'll stop there. So that's why oftentimes you'll have a pet fish with a bunch of goldfish running around. And he's not eating them because he's full, or maybe he just likes his goldfish. All right, here we go. They look like puppies with a dog bone. They're trying to figure out how to actually eat them. They have no problem grabbing them. I haven't seen one get consumed yet. Ah, there. Nope. Yep. So feeder ghost shrimp, great food for tiger Datnoids. These guys are really good hunters. Oh, another thing about them, just like the silver arowanas, they get along with all the other fish in the tank as long as they can't eat them all. So if they can't fit in their mouth, you're fine with them. So you can put these guys in with cichlids, anything that is, say, this big or bigger, no problem. But as you can see, as they get bigger, their mouths can get quite big. Some of these ghost shrimp are this big, and the Datnoid's that big, and they're able to eat them. It surprised me. Maybe that's a little too optimistic. Based on that, seeing how big those ghost shrimp were and how small the Datnoids were, and they were able to consume them, I'd say if a Datnoid's this big, you can't put in a fish that's smaller than half the size of the Datnoid without any fear of losing them. So I say that'd be a good rule of thumb. And we're back. But now I'm going to see if these guys will take some feeder guppies. I doubt it. I think they're full and they probably don't like this tiny little living condition. Okay, here we go. Just in case they do, it's not my experience that these anti-predator fish are comfortable enough to, well, especially with the guy looking over at the top of the tank. So at the very least, they have some friendly little tank mates for a while until they do get hungry again. Well, look at that. They are eating. Yeah, I wish I'd had some Datnoids with a stronger, very odd pattern on these guys. This yellow blotchy thing and the chocolate body, you can see the bands are going to start coming out bolder as they get older. Like most freshwater fish, they're usually pretty drab when they're juveniles to help other fish from seeing them and eating them as well. So predators can be hunted too when they're small. So as they get older, though, that pattern's going to get much bolder and more visible. But like I said, okay, water parameters. These guys are in good water parameters for them. The water's probably a little harder than they would have in the wild. I also like to put a little pinch of salt in because you never know, since these are wild caught, they could have been caught from an estuary or a brackish area. And in that case, you would take them from brackish conditions right in 100% fresh water. Could be a little shock for them. So I always put like about a tablespoon of marine salt or aquarium salt or kosher salt, all those will work, or solar salt from Home Depot. And drop solar salt though, not the stuff that has chemicals in it, and drop that into about 10 gallons of water. And that keeps it a very light brackish condition for Datnoids. You don't have to do that, but it's a precaution. What you do have to do is make sure that your pH is never above 7.5. In fact, if you can get it under 7, that's even better. They like it in that 6.5 to 7.0 range. Also, temperature-wise, like we were talking a little bit before about tropical conditions, you can never let that temperature go below 75 or they get stressed and turn black and get sick. So temperature has to be above 75, but don't bring it over 85. So it has to be within that range. So 75 to 85 temperature, pH 6.5 to 7. And as far as hardness, they can adapt to a wide range. Salt, like I said, I put a little salt in there just because my exporters, they get them from the fishermen wherever they can get them. And they name them whatever they name them. And I don't know what I have until I get them here. And I don't know what water conditions ever. So sometimes it's taken me a month before I could sell these guys. And these particular ones, they adapted in about a week. Sometimes like I brought in these Irian Jayas, at $150 each, tank full of them, and I couldn't sell them for a whole month. Likewise, if you receive your Datnoid, put them in your fish tank, your water parameters, everything's perfect, they never are 100% match. That might be enough to trigger a stress response. And you'll know that because he hangs around the bottom of the aquarium, usually in the corner, and he turns black. Don't panic. Keep the water temperature up. Make sure the pH stays down. And put some live feeders in there. Once he gets hungry, he'll eat the feeders. But otherwise, don't start pouring in, pellet food. It's not going to work. He's not going to eat pellet food or flake food. Don't put in frozen foods. Just put in some live feeders until he transitions out, eats those live feeders, gets used to the water, he's happy, and then you can start growing them. Typically, when you buy a Datnoids, the size is from 2 to 3.5 inches. Sometimes I've brought them in as much as like 5 inches. But remember, they are going to grow to a foot, 12 to 14 inches. So be prepared to get a bigger aquarium if you don't have one now. Mainly get an aquarium if you don't have one now. It's interesting to see all the different kinds of Datnoids, but they're all the same shape and size, and they all behave the same. So don't worry if you don't have a $300 Datnoid and your Datnoid's only $30. But that's fun though. Once in a while, because these are wild caught, you can get a surprise. And you get like a rare, and I don't know which one's a rare, expensive one, if it's a 7-stripe or 5-stripe, but you can get a very expensive Datnoid for a very cheap price sometimes because they're all mixed in together often from the exporters. And you can get just that one that everyone wants, and then you can sell it on, Monster Bid or wherever those stores are on or eBay it out, and then buy yourself a $30 one, and now you made money and have a free Datnoid. So tank mates and tanks, 20 gallons and up. Be prepared to go up to a 55-gallon once these guys get to size. If you have a 55-gallon tank already, that's wonderful. He'll grow into it. We talked about food. Keep some live feeders available for him. Start feeding frozen food to him during feeding time instead of live feeders after a couple of weeks, and you may be able to adapt them to frozen foods. Forget about pellets and flakes. Don't waste your time. Then the other tank mates you can keep with this guy, they won't eat snails. They won't eat bigger fish. So anything bigger than, say, a ram, pistogramma, should be okay with these guys. Corridoras, as long as they're a good 1.5 inches, as bottom feeders would be good. And then anything else, of course, on the bottom would be fine. Otocinclus, at this size, no problem. Otocinclus, stone catfish, pygmy catfish will maybe get eaten once they get up to 7-8 inches. And then large schooling fish, tiger barbs, tinfoil barbs, silver dollars, those kind of fish are great with them. Denisoni sharks, which come from India. Trying to think of a little natural habitat that equals Indochina region, which would be fun to recreate too. So barbs, larger barbs would be a good thing to add with these guys. Gold barbs, some of the barbs that only get to 2 inches might become prey when these guys become adults. And planted tanks, they love plants. They like to go into plants. Naturally, they like to hunt by hanging out in the plants until prey go by. So you'll keep their stress level down, which means their colors will be more vivid if you keep some live plants in the tank. And yeah, that's really a nice kind of starter little all you need to know about Datnoids. But there are some real avid collectors of Datnoids out there in our hobby. So there's some great editorials, pictures on the web. If you're interested in this fish, I would do a little research on Google, because these guys have been studied quite a bit, and there's some good knowledge out there. If you want to buy this fish, it's difficult to find these in the pet stores. You can always request, not in Petco or PetSmart, but you can always request any fish that they don't carry in any of your mom and pop aquarium stores. And they'll contact someone like me. Hopefully they'll contact me, and we'll find that fish for them and get it in for you. And we just call a special order, and they'll let you know when it comes in, and you come in and pick up your Datnoid. It's not normally a fish that they would stock in their store. You can always go online to aquariumfish.com, and they ship it out to you as well. It's a good shipping fish. It ships well. It's tough to adapt to water, and so just be ready before they get there. So anyways, please like and subscribe to the show. But whatever you do, whether you get a Datnoid, whether you get a guppy, just get an aquarium. Oh man, these guys are really... What? I only have 3 guppies left. Holy cow. And they already ate ghost shrimp. Huh. All right, these are fast growers, maybe. They're not known to be fast growers. It takes a couple years to get these guys this size. But these guys, the way they're eating, I don't know. So anyways,